Well, hey everybody, it's Joel Toppin here, and I've got SpaceCorp up on my Vassal screen here. And just to give you a look at it, what I did with the module, some of you have played this before. It's been around since the game came out. What I'm going to show in this video is what we've done for Ventures. So Ventures is the new expansion for SpaceCorp, as you may already know. And to make this work in Vassal, we've got a few new things. So first of all, you access the SpaceCorp Ventures HQs from the HQ button here on the toolbar. So if we just click on that, it will just open up this window. Just ignore the little grid numbers. That's something I was using while I was designing the mod. I'll probably just make that go away before we actually put this out there for the public. What we got here is we got two different decks inside this window. Each has a random draw capability. So anything I drag and drop out of here is going to be randomized. In Ventures, you're going to select randomly 4 different HQs. Player 1's going to select one, and then another one's going to get drawn. So you're always going to have a pool of 4 HQs from which to choose. And so it goes around the table in that way. For the 2 players, if you're playing with only 2 players, then there's a slightly different mix of HQs. And so I've created 2 different decks, one for just 2-player only and one for 3 to 4-player. I've also, it's not implemented yet on the screen, but I'm going to remove the solitaire capability from the module. Now, don't gasp in horror just yet. The reason is it's become unacceptably complex to implement all of the Ventures features with all of the solitaire things that change how the game works on top of the basic module. It's just too much. So I think it's going to be easier for me if I just make a multiplayer module for Ventures and a solitaire module for Ventures. That will allow me to make everything so it actually works. So temporarily the solitaire stuff is still in here, but I'm going to have to reprogram stuff in order to make the solitaire version, and I just haven't gotten that far yet. I want to make sure the multiplayer is done and working before I start working on the solo version. If we open up an HQ like Blue's HQ, you'll see it looks a little bit different now. The teams and the little bases, they're all kind of in a different place than they used to be. There's more space here. There's a card that's not movable. It just stays on your HQ, and I'll explain that in just a moment. But I'm going to show you how this works. We're just going to hide that for a second and go back to the Ventures HQs. And I'm going to click on one of the buttons up here. Let's say we're playing a 3 to 4 player game. So I'm going to click on the 3 to 4 players button. That will randomly draw 4 HQs from this stack. If I were to click from this, it would, and you would actually see the pile diminish, but it would draw from the 2-player stack. It drew 4 of them. I can look at these, and the mouse over works on it, so it'll get bigger in your screen when you stop moving the mouse. You can read it and research which one you want to have. Once you've made your decision, I'll show you on the HQ for Blue. You'll see the default is always tile number 2. So all of the players start with that tile on their screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select for the Blue player, let's say we're going to go with Drell Institute. So we're going to right click on this and we're going to choose to select for Blue. You'll notice this tile goes away. And now when I open up Blue HQ, you'll see it not only put the Drell HQ or Drell Institute HQ up, it also put the Drell Institute Final Profit option card. This card, before the end of the game, you'll have the opportunity to choose either standard Final Profit or an alternate Final Profit scoring. And that'll happen during Starfarers. All right, now some of these HQs are going to have some different rules to them. And so what we're going to have to look at here is, like, for example, this one says you only get 1 refinery and 1 security base. So what you'll have to do is manually take these markers and just kind of move them out of these stacks. As long as they're moved out of those stacks, you're going to be okay. So just consider this to be your own personal, not in play section. So refinery is here. So we're just going to plot 1, 2, 3. All right. So there we go. So these guys are all out of play, and there you go. So you'll have to make some modifications, and that's basically how that's going to work. Some of them will have fewer infrastructure and so forth. Now, one thing the module's not going to do anymore is when you set the era using the set era feature here. Let me get everything out of the way so you can see it. I don't know why the software will not put that on top of all the other windows that are open, but it doesn't. So whenever you select an era, it's going to draw card buttons are going to come from the appropriate deck and all that. It's an important feature. So you need to still maintain the use of that choose an era option, but it's not going to modify this screen anymore. And so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, I think that is basically the nuts and bolts of what we've got going on here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hide the blue HQ. We've got 3 HQs now available. How do you draw the 4th one? Well, instead of putting a button for draw, it becomes complicated because we got 2 different stacks we could be using, right? So for now, until I can find a more elegant solution, for now, and I know this is a royal pain in the neck, okay? I really apologize for this, but you do have to press the left mouse button, click, and drag. And, I mean, you can do serious damage to your wrist doing that. So I do apologize for all of the pain and suffering this is going to entail, but that's how you're going to have to fill that empty slot there. So, of course, I'm being facetious. I'm going to go ahead and I like that one, so I'm going to go ahead and right-click on that. And you'll see now the option for blue is gone. So we're going to select for yellow now. So when we open up yellow's HQ, you'll see it now has a Polaris GCI, and its profit card is appropriate. And I don't see any... Yeah, I don't see anything on here that makes us make any changes, so I don't have to drag any pieces out. Looks like we're all good to go there. So that's basically how the module is going to work. So for setup, this is what you're going to go through. You're just going to drag a new one out. Let's put DP Roberts for green. We open up green. There's your DP Roberts, all of that. Drag another one out. And we'll just go ahead and select Nova Capital for purple. And there you go, there's purple. And it's Nova Capital and ready to roll. So that's basically what I'm doing for now. We're going to test this out. We got some people using it. If you'd like to take it for a test drive, try to break it, figure out stuff that's not working, would appreciate that. We'll make that available to you. Just email me and we can get you a link. But there you go. That is SpaceCorp Ventures. That's what we're working on. We're trying to make this thing really cool. And then, like, don't worry about the competition stuff. We're going to go ahead and just make a whole new module for the solitaire, because the HQs, there's like whole another kind of HQ, and then there's competition HQs. It's just going to get too complex to implement into single module. Oh, I know, there's one other thing. This was going to, yeah, I almost forgot this. Okay, we're playing a 3 to 4 player game, so we're going to open the 3 to 4 players window. In Ventures, there is now an 8th contract, but they're done by cards. So if you open up the contracts window here, you'll see there's 3 different stacks, one for Mariners, one for Planeteers, one for Starfarers, but it's the same. It doesn't say that on the back of the card, which I think is kind of unfortunate. At least for Vassal, it would have been handier if it did say, you know, the different eras, but it doesn't. It's all the same back. So to make this really easy, instead of manually fiddling around with this, I did make it possible to draw a random Mariners contract using the button in the scoring window, the business display. So we click on that and boom, there's your card. Now the cards, I'll just do the mouse over here. You'll see the cards are actually 2 sides. There's you know, a half side has one type of contract, and then if you rotate the card 180 degrees, you'll see a different one. So to access the alternate contract, you right click on and you can choose to rotate. Doesn't matter which way, it's going to be 180 degrees. And there you go, there's the other side of that card. So you can actually even left click and then use your arrow buttons to, you know, flop it around and decide which one you want. Once you've settled on it, then you'll use the extra disc here to mark it as complete. When you get to Planeteers, you'll do the same thing. It'll draw Planeteers. You get to select which one you want. Let's say we'll take the alternate on that. When that one is accomplished, move it over, and then Starfarers will also have a card. So that's how it's going to work. I just created a layered effect so you don't see the top half of the card. It'll be obscured underneath the business display. Now, it's conceivable that some wonkiness will happen. Like say you do something like that. Oh, great. Now some dummy just stuck the card underneath the business display and we can't get it. We're trying to select it. We can't. We know it's there because the mouse over shows it's there, but we can't find it. Here's how you fix that. I made a rotate layers button. So you can just, boom, oh, there's that card. Tell whoever moved that, hey, don't do that again. And then rotate, and boom. If you keep hitting this button enough, everything will then eventually be the way it's supposed to be. So there you go. That is, and that's also true for the 1 to 2 player, or the 2 players display. It works exactly the same way. So there you go. That's SpaceCorp Ventures. It's coming soon on Vassal. We're checking it out now, trying to see, make sure everything's working, and I hope to bring that to your virtual gaming table here real soon.